Chapter 10. Friendship is complicated. The azure unicorn in the mirror above Trixie's dresser batted her eyeglasses temptingly. Trixie smirked back at her with pride. Her eyes were perfect, her mane was perfect, her horn was perfect, even the morning sunlight was perfect. Well worth the effort spent getting up before sunrise to give herself a quick makeover before breakfast. This has been worth it every morning since that night on the hilltop. As usual, though, the reflected light of the scar across her key mark put a damper on her spirits. A frown danced across her face as she wondered how much longer it would take to heal. It wouldn't be too long, would it? After all, her physical therapy had only been going on for a couple of weeks ago, and she already could walk unsupported again. Not that she let Twilight in on that little detail, of course. Cassie had glanced at the newly acquired cloak stand beside her door. She pondered over the cape that hung from its top branch. It was a shame to cover up such a great and powerful figure as Trixie, but Scar really didn't give her much choice. As she magically slung the cape around her neck and fastened the clasp, there came a knocking at the bedroom door. "Just a minute!" Trixie called out, stepping around to face the mirror again. She made a few quick magical adjustments to her mane, making sure it felt just right around her horn, before putting it on her brightest smile. "Alright, come in." The door clicked open, and Trixie's smile grew doubly wide and decided to lavender mare across the threshold. "Good morning, partner." Twilight checked with a smile of her own. "Did you sleep well?" Trixie shrugged indifferently. "As well as usual, I have to admit. This room is starting to feel a little big for just one pony." "Yeah," Twilight muttered, a thoughtful frown crossing her face as she looked. "Well, I've been trying to find more things to fill it up with, but..." Trixie raised the hoe to stop her. "That wasn't a complaint." The thoughtful look on Twilight's face turned to one of surprise, then sheepishness. "Oh, right." There was a brief smiling pause before she drew up to her full height and cleared her throat. "Well, anyway, if you're done up here, let's go downstairs. Breakfast is waiting." She held the door open while the show mare sampled over, forcibly wincing the first couple of times, but put pressure on her planted hoof. It probably wasn't very nice to pretend it still hurt, to make Twilight worry. It was really not more of a white lie. Twilight liked to help Trixie, and Trixie was just unselfishly making it a little easier for her. What was wrong with that? As the two of them took the stairs, side by side and comfortably close, the lavender unicorn glanced sidelong at Trixie. "You're looking pretty this morning," Twilight observed. She narrowed her eyes and smirked at Mark's accusation. "You're not making extra effort for some pony, are you?" Trixie rolled her eyes. "Don't flatter yourself, Sparkle," she said lightly, even as a tinge of red crept into her cheeks. And so exactly why she had been feeling the need to impress Twilight with her looks lately, Trixie had no idea. Maybe it was just a natural impulse to want to look good for your close friends. She couldn't remember feeling the same for anyone before, though. Shaking her head to clear it, Trixie returned the lavender unicorn's sidelong look. "Don't think I haven't noticed what you've done with your mane." Twilight stopped, impulsively ran a hoof past her horn. "Oh, you noticed that? What you think?" If that wasn't a confession that the change was for Trixie's benefit, then nothing was. That confirmed it. And Twilight felt it too, that it had to be a close friends thing. Or at least, it had to be whatever she and Twilight were a thing. Partners didn't really say it at all. That was more like an official title. The proper word escaped her. "Mere friends." Remembering that Twilight had asked her a question, Trixie cleared her throat. "Ahem! Well..." Even if it was a nice gesture on Twilight's part, Trixie didn't really like the new look. "The whole flowing style really doesn't suit you," said Trixie, opting for the honest approach as she tried on words. "I like your own mane a lot better." You did?" said Twilight, suddenly sounding uncertain. Trixie smiled to herself, saying nothing as she made her way steady downstairs. She got about halfway down before Twilight shook herself off. Caldwell smiled. "Me too. I was just trying out something new. I'll change it back tomorrow." "If you're looking for suggestions, I think you'd look good in curls," Trixie offered with a smirk. Twilight giggled quietly. "I'll keep that in mind." As usual, breakfast brought with it a healthy helping of cinnamon apple pancakes, accompanied by Chickless, daily tallying the day's itinerary. Usually that would be equal parts walking therapy, or a business Twilight had in town, and practicing for the main hand display, or rather, discussing how they might practice for it. different every year, Twilight muttered, frying the checklist as he chewed a mouthful of pancake. What kind of competition is that? It sounds so chaotic. Despite the feeling that she had this conversation several times before, Tracy decided to humor her partner. It's to keep the event fresh and exciting, to surprise the audience and competitors both. Of course, nothing surprises Trixie, so I'll be prepared for whatever they throw at us. I wish I could be so confident, Twilight grumbled. I prepare by studying, but there are no details or criteria, then what do I study? Tracy rolled her eyes. You don't study anything. The event isn't even without preparation. It's about talent. And you don't need to worry about that. She looked at Twilight. The other's mere frown twisted into a smile. Yeah, I guess I got the great and powerful Trixie with me after all. Tracy opened her mouth to say what was it she meant, but ended up closing it again. Sometimes Twilight's sparkle was too modest for her own good. And Tracy minded accepting a compliment. Anyway, said Twilight, offering Trixie a sheet of paper. Do you want to look at the list? Taking the list to her own magic, Trixie pried up to her nose before casting Twilight a glance. You really are going to do this every day, aren't you? Twilight just smiled. When I shook her head, the showmare turned to scan the list. Sure enough, it was the same as usual. Breakfast, walking therapy, study, lunch, more study. Trixie sighed. Didn't we just establish that studying isn't going to help? I was thinking we could study the history of the event. Twilight explained with a hopefully smile. We might be able to find some sort of pattern in the past activity assignments. Of course, I don't expect to find something obvious. At best, we'll be able to narrow down the list a little. But then we have at least a higher probability of practicing for activity that actually is going to come up at the event. Trixie stared blankly at her partner, who still had the same smile on her face. Unsurprisingly, it was clear that she wasn't joking. Somehow, Trixie didn't find the prospect of 2 weeks studying of Twilight all too appealing. An idea came to her. Not a particularly brilliant idea by Trixie's standards, but it would do. She flattened the list down on the table between them and cleared her throat. Ahem. Twilight, I have a better idea. Twilight raised her eyebrows. Oh, you do? Trixie pushed the list to one side and got to her hose, leaving a couple of half-eaten pancakes on her plate. Follow me, she said simply. As he started towards the door, she heard Twilight hesitate. Deviating from her checklist probably made the obsessive unicorn a little uncomfortable. But Trixie was convinced that her own idea was better. By the time Trixie had reached the door and turned around to check on Twilight, the lavender unicorn was already rising from his seat. Barely minutes later, Trixie had found herself leading Twilight across the open, grassy field thus on the outskirts of town. Instead of taking a gamble and hoping that we find something useful in your books, Trixie began, breaking the silence at last. Why don't we do something we know is going to help? Because there isn't actually anything we know that's going to help? Twilight guessed. Trixie rolled her eyes. Actually, there is. We know that every pair in the competition is going to lead at least one thing. And what one thing is that? Asked Twilight. Trixie smirked, stopping so suddenly that Twilight took a few steps onwards before noticing. Coordination, said Trixie. With that, she flicked her horn, summoning forth a blue hoofball from thin air, fell to the ground and bounced a couple of times before settling in the grass. Twilight eyed it suspiciously. Judging by the look on her face, she'd probably never seen one before. Granted, it wasn't too strange. Unicorns didn't have much need for Pegasus sports toys. Twilight took a step closer, brought her nose to judge down the ball experimentally. Coordination, huh? And what's the ball for? Grasping the ball with her magic, Trixie hovered above their heads. For practice! We're going to practice coordinating our magic, focusing on this ball. Why? Twilight asked, looking up her creased brow. Trixie groaned. Ugh. Because a dual act is all about timing, about casting your spells at exactly the right moment, so that they land in time with your partners. Makes sense. Twilight stared at the ball for a long moment. Just as Trixie was about to try to explain again, the lavender unicorn looked up at her, smiled and nodded. I understand. Where shall we start? Trixie blinked before returning the smile. Well, since you are a beginner, let's start with some basic telekinesis. Twilight frowned at the word beginner, but shook it off a moment later. Taking a few steps back, Trixie left the ball and made it on the ground between them. Twilight mimicked on their opposite side. "Alright," said Trixie. "I'm sorry. We'll push against the ball, okay?" "Oh, Trixie, I'm not so sure that's a good one." Twilight stood in place. "I really don't think two." Twilight shook her head side. Trixie smirked and narrowed her eyes as she channeled magic into her horn. Knowing that Twilight's magic was at least a little physically stronger than her own, Trixie decided to push as hard as she could. 3! Both spells fired off and struck the ball almost at the exact same time. Trixie's eyes bugged out as a blue blur shot out toward her and hit her square in the face. As the ball fell back to the ground and rolled to one side, Trixie stared, wide-eyed at Twilight. It was gaping in horror. Trixie's nose twitched and her bottom lip trembled. "Oh my gosh!" Twilight squealed, hopping forwards and leaping in. "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I swear, are you okay?" Dumping to the side, Trixie channeled her magic again. The ball shot towards Twilight and struck her square on the flank, prompting a startled yelp from the Lander unicorn as he stumbled forwards. As their necks crossed, Trixie smirked to herself. She had only been meaning to startle a partner, but the accidental hug was a welcome bonus. When Twilight pulled back, it was a dark frown on her face. Trixie had to purse her lips to keep from giggling. Twilight didn't fare as well. After a few seconds of staring, her frown shifted into a little smile as he started snicking. "Don't do that, Trixie," she managed sneakily. "That'll hurt you." Trixie flicked back her mane proudly. "You should know better. Did you forget how great and powerful I am?" Twilight kicked her playfully in the leg, then turned to the side and closed her eyes. "Well, you still scared me." When she shook her head, Trixie patted Twilight on the side reassuringly. "Silly mare," she thought with a smile. As the morning went on, the two of them dallied down to power and practiced pushing and pulling the ball together. Even with verbal clues, it was a lot harder to find a balance of both spell force and timing than Trixie had first thought. Eventually, they reached a point where both spells would strike the target together and would roll a few inches in one direction. Then they would adjust their spells, only for the ball to roll back in the other direction the next time. If Trixie had been doing this with anyone else, she would have been frustrated out of her mind after the first 20 minutes. With Twilight there for company, though, it was actually quite an enjoyable practice session. Somewhere along the line, they ditched the verbal cues in favor of a simple nod, which made the conversation a little easier, and the whole thing seemed less mechanical. "Hey, Trixie," said Twilight as the ball rolled to a stop beside her host. "Can I ask you something?" Trixie magically moved the ball back to the center. "Isn't that what you've been doing?" she asked, raising an eyebrow at her partner. Twilight frowned and hesitated. "I meant about Flare." "Oh," Trixie muttered. Honestly, she was hoping Twilight wouldn't ask. Which was a silly thing to hope at, really. After all, she was going to be competing against him. It was only naturally for her to want to know her enemy. Twilight waved a hoof and shook her head hurriedly. "If you don't want to." "No, ask your question," Trixie said firmly. "It's a private matter, but you deserve some answers." Twilight stood in place a little and nodded to Trixie as she lit up her horn. The spell struck the ball together and rolled towards Trixie. It's nothing really. I just wanted to ask, what kind of pony is he?" Trixie rolled her eyes and readjusted the ball. "I'm not a child, Twilight Sparkle. You don't have to spare my feelings." "I'm not," Twilight threw back. "That's my question, really." Trixie stared at her deadpan for a good 10 seconds, whilst Twilight just stared back with a faint smile. Finally, Trixie blinked and averted her eyes. "Liar," she mumbled, even as the beginnings of a appreciative smile crept on her face. Confound that Twilight obsessive kindness. "Fine," said Trixie, conceited. "What kind of pony is he?" She nodded again as the signal. They cast together and ball rolled towards Twilight. "He's very, I guess you could call it, suave, especially around pretty mares." Twilight cocked her head to the side and smiled a little. "Like you?" Trixie scoffed, towards Twilight to get a one. "Exactly like me," said Trixie. I hid to something she wasn't quite sure she beat to her voice. Twilight's smile faltered as she readjusted the ball again. "Oh, so you were close then?" Trixie let out a huff and closed her eyes in reminiscence. "Very close, once upon a time." Silence fell between them. Talking like that really brought the memories back. All the laughter, the teasing, the playing, the cuddling. She physically shook the evasive thoughts from her head Scout, she opened her eyes. Twilight was frowning and looking to one side, probably thinking what to say next. Tracy made sure that the scowl was replaced by a faint smile by the time Twilight looked up at her. What happened? The Leather-Jake Unicorn, apparently not quite sure what she wanted to hear the answer. Tracy opened her mouth to voice a reply. She didn't have one. She screwed up her nose and thought harder, trying to bring back that one memory, but it was lost to her. With a chuckle, the showmare shook her head. I don't even remember. How silly is that? Twilight, of course, said nothing. I bet he does, though, Tracy continued. It's in his character to hold on to things like that. You should ask him when we get to Manhattan. I'm sure he'll be dying to meet my partner, the unicorn who I've brought along with him to humiliate. She's smart. I can't wait to see the look on his face when we beat him. Twilight grunted, gazing softly into Trixie's eyes. Eager to keep her momentum, Tracy cast her mind about to break something up. Some memory or anecdote to give Twilight a laugh. Before she could find one, a sharp wind blew past, tossing her mane about and breaking her train of thought. She raised the hope to pat back down. She turned to the left and saw a familiar, rainbow-maned Pegasus skating to a halt, a few ponies distance away. Just when I was having a good morning. Oh, hey guys, said Rainbow casually. Playing football? Cool. Hope I'm not interrupting. I'm sure, Tracy mumbled, rolling her eyes. Clearly surprised, Twilight brought focus towards with a smile. Rainbow, what are you doing here? I wasn't expecting to see you until our school visit tomorrow. She paused and her smile fell a little. You are coming this week, aren't you? Of course I am! What, you thought I was going to ditch you? Said Rainbow slightly. Twilight's frown deepened. Well, after what happened 2 weeks ago, I think you didn't turn up at all last Friday. Rainbow waved her hope dismissively. Hey, it's like I told you. I needed some time to think last week. Tomorrow stuff will be back to normal, okay? Tracy looked between the two of them. She was half expecting Twilight to throw that back at Rainbow's face. But then again, this was Twilight. The Lion and Unicorn smiled at last and nodded to Rainbow. Okay. Awesome, said Rainbow, returning the smile. Then she turned to Trixie. Yo, Trixie, can we talk for a sec? Huh? Trixie grunted intelligently. Talk. Yeah, you know. Rainbow glanced at Twilight. In private? The two unicorns exchanged confused looks. I can step over there for a moment, if you want, Twilight offered uncertainly. Trixie blinked. She couldn't decide whether she wanted that or not. It'll just take a second, really, said Rainbow. Trixie glanced into the ground and thought, then finally turned to Twilight and nodded. The Lion Unicorn offered each of them one last smile before trying off to the side, leaving them alone. All right, what do you want? Said Trixie, turning to glare at the Pegasus. To Trixie's surprise, Rainbow actually averted her gaze. There was a long pause. Strange, considering Rainbow was the one who wanted to talk in the first place. Yeah, so here's the thing, Trix, Rainbow began. I know I've been, kind of a jerk to you since we met. Oh, you've realized that now, haven't you? Trixie cowered. Rainbow glared at her. Hey, you haven't exactly been friendly to me either, Miss Great and Powerful. Trixie stirred. An angry heat welled up inside her at the scorn and the nickname, wholly unlike the warmth she felt when Twilight called her that. Well, maybe you haven't given Trixie much choice, she threw back. Well, all your heckling and random accusations. Yeah, I get it. Rainbow interrupted loudly. She paused briefly and huffed. I know I haven't given you much of a chance or anything again. Well, what I'm trying to say is, She mumbled the last word under her breath, but Trixie could almost hear so as he said, You're sorry. Trixie repeated, drawing back in surprise. Rainbow gulped and looked up to meet Trixie's eyes with a sad frown on her face. A moment later, the Pegasus gave a quick shake of her head and drew herself to fall out. That's right, I'm sorry! She sought to hope to emphasize it. You got a problem with that? Trixie blinked. No, she guessed. But why are you apologizing? Aren't you supposed to know? He Trixie or something? Rainbow looked at her nose a little higher. Who says I don't? The showman raised an eyebrow at that. Like everything else in the world, this isn't about you, Trixie. It's about her. She thrusted her towards Twilight, who jumped in surprise. When she recovered, the lavender mare cocked her head as if to say, Oh, are you done? Rainbow simply waved her off dismissively and turned back to Trixie. If this is about Twilight, then why did you want to talk to me in private? Said Trixie with a slightly quieter voice. Rainbow shook her head. This is high-level friendship stuff, Rainbow said. Trixie scowled as an annoying prank allowed herself to smirked. Only lasted a second, though. Look, I don't know what he sees in you, Trix, but stop calling me that! But he obviously sees something. Rainbow glanced over at Twilight again, this time with a thoughtful frown. She likes you, and me being a jerk to you makes her feel bad. So, yeah, like I said, you wouldn't understand. Trixie followed her gaze at Twilight, was making a feeble attempt at pretending she wasn't trying to steal glances towards them. Maybe I do understand, Trixie mused aloud. Rainbow gave her a questioning look, but soon dissolved in a simple frown. Well, if you do, then maybe you know why I've got to apologize, she said patiently. Trixie replies, Yes, you apologize to her too? Of course I have! Outside the schoolhouse like 100 times! And that's all you're going to do? Just say sorry and leave it at that? Rainbow turned and glared twofold. Not that it's any of your business, but no, She broke off. And Glare immediately saw that she looked away. I'll go get out of here for a couple of weeks. Give you guys some space. I'll not paying her to say even that much. Clear my head, you know. Surprised, Trixie held her retort she meaning to throw back. You're going to leave? Wait, that's not what Trixie meant! Rainbow sighed to close her eyes. I've said what I'm keen to say. I'll go see Fluttershy or something. Catch you later, I guess. With that, she offered a quick wave to Twilight, kicked off from the ground, swinging from the air before Trixie could even think of anything more to say. Then she was gone. Oh no, Rainbow, don't do that. What about you and Fluttershy adopting Scootaloo? What? I had to work in my Flutterdash joke. Oh. This is what I get for tricking Trixie out there. There's nobody to make me feel bad for some of my other jokes. Twilight trotted up to Trixie's side, enjoying her watching the fast-moving Rainbow Trail. What was that about? The Bucket Mare asked with an obvious hint of worry in her voice. Trixie blinked a couple of times. You're seeing her tomorrow, aren't you? Twilight threw Trixie a questioning look. Yeah, why? Because you two need to talk.